Hey friends, welcome to my blog Sahla Parveen. So today I'm going to speak about a beautiful topic. How to speak English in 3 steps. If you practice these 3 steps, you can speak English or any foreign language very easily and fluently. First of all, this technique or steps are for the people who actually have some kind of knowledge, a little knowledge in any language, and they want to, really learn to speak in that language. So the first point is we need to understand why do we speak a language, why do we want to learn to speak a language. It is to communicate. What is the meaning of communication? If I am saying something or if I am trying to convey a message, and if you are able to understand that, we have communicated. Even if we don't use any language, if I am able to communicate something to you, example, I show an action like this: I haven't ate. If you have understood that, I have communicated. So any language, if you know little, or if you know and if you don't know anything, if you are able to communicate to the other person the message, then you are successful in communicating. So when you realize that the point is not to speak the language fluently and make the other person understand that you know this language extremely beautifully, but our intention is to communicate. So when we realize it, so we get the strength to start speaking in that language, start speaking in any language that you want to really learn. So the first thing is, if you are able to communicate a message to other person, you are already successful in starting to speak any language. Second point is practice. If you really want to learn any language, we need to practice. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you make, you have to overcome the fear and start practicing. So our problem is that, will the other person tease me? Will the other person understand if I have made a mistake? Just forget about what other person think. They have a lot of other works to do. So let's just focus on practicing. At least 1 hour or half an hour in a day with your friends or with your family members. Make it a habit, make a game to practice, start speaking. Make mistakes, no problem, let the other person correct you. And if you don't use the complete English language or any language that you want to practice in that half an hour, keep a fine or anything and make it as a game plan that you start practicing the language. As much as chance you get, you just start speaking. Third point is, it's a very very important point: start thinking in English. If you want to speak English, start thinking in English. See, what happens is, when you start speaking, normally when you usually speak in your mother tongue and you have learned other language, what happens is that you still think in your mother tongue and you translate into the foreign language. So there is always a gap for the translation to change to English, and that gives a gap, that gives us tension. If I give an example, if I want to say what is your name in my language, if in Malayalam, if I say endana ninde pere, if someone asks me what is your name, if I translate if I think in my language, the first answer is ende pere Sahla. That is, my name is Sahla. So after thinking in Malayalam, when I translate it to English, there is a time gap, and in this time gap I actually get the fear that, will the other person understand that I don't know the language fluently? And this fear actually will stop us from speaking in that language. So think in English is very important to start speaking in English. How can you think in English? How can you practice it? Take small English story books and read that, which have the pictures in it, like books like Tinkle, and so you can understand the story easily and start thinking the whole story in English rather than in your mother tongue. When you think the whole story in English, start speaking it out, talking to yourself. Take a record and listen to that again. This will really help you to increase your confidence level, and only confidence level is lacking when you know a language and you are not able to speak in that language. There are so many people who write beautifully, who are able to read beautifully, but they can understand beautifully, but they can't speak because the fear of being judged. Forget about all the fear and just start doing it. Make mistakes, let the other person laugh at you, but at least you try to do something, and that will definitely help you to master that language, and you will just become amazing in that language. Thank you so much.